Star Wars. What a great set of films. Say what you want about the more recent Star Wars films or the prequels. No one can deny the perfection that is the original trilogy. But unlike many other licenses, Star Wars dove into video games and fared very well. There are many great games like Knights of the Old Republic, Battlefront, Rogue Squadron, Jedi Fallen Order, and even Lego Star Wars, and I'm not even scratching the surface there. But one thing I also won't scratch the surface of are the amount of canceled Star Wars games. So on day 4 of Oddly Specific Top 10 List Week, I'll be counting down the top 10 canceled Star Wars games. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe for new notifications, and leave a comment. You'll be a loyal subscriber.
I wanted to give to you, in the last part of your notes here, the significance spiritually of the number.
Chewbacca is cool. Wanna know what else is cool? The thought of a Chewbacca game, and that almost happened, but it's on this list, so you know how that turned out. With the research I did on this game, it was by LucasArts and Factor 5, and starred Chewbacca, and would have actually taken place after Revenge of the Sith, just like everything else. However, it was cancelled by order of George Lucas. There aren't many details on the game, like what kind of game it was going to be, or how far into development it was, but it hurts that your boy Chewbacca didn't get his due. Oh well. By the way, this game has to do with a cancellation with another game later on in this list. You know who's pretty cool in the world of Star Wars? Smugglers. Characters like Han Solo are a huge part of the universe, and it would be interesting to see more smugglers. And there was gonna be a game called Star Wars Smuggler, or at least that's the title we know about, and it focused on more smugglers than just Han Solo. Not knocking Han, he's fucking awesome. It'd be cool to see more smugglers though. Star Wars Smugglers began development sometime around 2004, and all that really exists of the game is some artwork and vocal confirmation that the game was in the works before being cancelled. Again, not much information on what kind of game it was or why it was cancelled, but it would be very interesting to see a game based around the smugglers of the world of Star Wars.
So I'm going to be giving this flavor 8.5 out of 10 scoops.
We all love Knights of the Old Republic, and its sequel, The Sith Lords, was similarly acclaimed. Not to the height of the first one, but still, I still think it's pretty solid. But what other reason would I be bringing those up other than to segue into Knights of the Old Republic 3, The Jedi Masters? Well, there is no other reason. Unfortunately, that got cancelled. Now, despite this being a sequel to two very critically acclaimed games and being the one to finish the trilogy, it only lands at number 8, and you may wonder why. Well, for one, this hasn't been outright confirmed, but it is heavily assumed and also very likely that KOTOR 3 was reworked into the Star Wars MMORPG known as The Old Republic, which the trailers were fucking amazing and better than some movie trailers. But writing this part of the video reminds me of that game's existence, so yeah, that, and I don't think the first KOTOR even needed a sequel because the game is just so fantastic. I'm sure you can do some sequelizing with the story, but still. But also the second KOTOR is really awesome too. So it is kind of unfortunate that we didn't get a third.
36.
Very close, but that's not it. Let's go to Gary the Retard. What number between 2 and 4?
The Star Wars Rogue Squadron series is fantastic, and unlike KOTOR, it actually got 3 entries but was actually going to get a fourth named Dark Squadron, but obviously didn't happen. You played as the heroes in the first 3 Rogue Squadron games, but you were actually going to play as the villains in Dark Squadron, which is really cool. Factor 5 was also going to be behind this one, which you may have heard their name earlier when talking about the Chewbacca game, and that sort of had a part in Dark Squadron's cancellation, as Dark Squadron was cancelled by LucasArts so Factor 5 can actually work on that Chewbacca game, which we know was also cancelled. That sucks.
Okay, Mrs. Puff, what's my final score?
6.
While we're on the subject of Rogue Squadron, Dark Squadron wasn't the only thing that got the can. Remember X-Wing and TIE Fighter? I'm sure you do, as they are kinda the same game gameplay-wise, but show 2 completely different sides of the story, and they became 2 of the best Star Wars games. Kinda 1, because I personally grouped them together, but still. While X-Wing, TIE Fighter, and Rogue Squadron were all going to be combined into Rogue Squadron X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter. Rogue Squadron X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter would have been more focused on multiplayer, based around team-based dogfights with other players, which sounds interesting, but now is when I mentioned that Factor 5 was behind the development, and they ended up partnering with Sony, but they scrapped this game and did Lair instead, which wasn't a good game. Yeesh. If Factor 5 is ever attached to a Star Wars game, you know how that Star Wars game is going to turn out, or rather how it won't turn out.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5.
Oh my god, I forgot about
Star Wars, Masters of, you know what? Literally every other YouTuber that has covered this game made the same joke about the title, so I'll save you some time here. But it's a fighting game with Star Wars characters, which sounds like a no-brainer, but it was bad for a multitude of reasons. Well, we almost had another one. Not much is known about this, despite the existence of video evidence of a prototype for the game that you see right now. Hopefully this doesn't do anything to the video. It was going to feature duels between Jedi and Sith, and players would have utilized the typical Jedi toolset, or Sith toolset, depending on who you're playing as. That's almost as much as we know, but it seems that this actually got pretty far into development, at least compared to some of the other games on the list. It is kinda sad to see it was never completed, though, because if done right, a Star Wars fighting game could have been great. Too bad it was never done right.
7, 5. Number 4.
The Star Wars Battlefront series. The old one. Although the new update for 2 seems pretty good, but the older series. The OG Battlefront 1 and 2 are largely beloved games by many, and deservingly so, but there was going to be a third game. There's not much to this one, as concept art and gameplay videos for Battlefront 3 were dropping, but no announcement on the game's status for a good while, until it was just cancelled, pretty much quietly as well. The reason I have this much higher than KOTOR 3, however, is because I feel a third game and even a second game were necessary for Battlefront. So it's way more unfortunate that we didn't get a Battlefront 3. EA eventually rebooted the series, but if only we knew the debacle that would come with its sequel. Look, it's great now. Oh god, that game at launch. Okay, so I kind of have two games sharing an entry, but at the same time, it's not two games, but a canceled game that was taken over by a different company and turned into another game that was also canceled. Yup, I'm referring to the Star Wars game that was being developed by Visceral Games, who are known for the Dead Space series, but then got canceled, but then picked up by EA Vancouver. When Visceral Games was working on it, it was going to be an action-adventure title under the direction of Amy Hennig, who is known for her work on the Uncharted series. However, the game got canceled, and take a wild guess what EA did to Visceral Games.
Shut it down!
However, EA Vancouver then took the project and turned it into an open-world Star Wars game, which sounds amazing, but it got canceled too. Sadness. Just imagine open world Star Wars. Just the thought of that, oh, it hurts that we never got that.
What kind of pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
We all got mixed feelings on The Phantom Menace. I don't know why I said mixed feelings. A lot of us think it's the bottom of the Star Wars list. But one thing I'm sure we can all agree on is Darth Maul, and that he's pretty cool. Or at least he looks cool. He didn't really say anything, but he also fights cool. Well, there was going to be a Star Wars game where you can take control of Darth Maul titled Battle of the Sith Lords. According to Game Informer, Redfly Studio, who were behind the Force Unleashed games and the Ghostbusters game, were developing Battle of the Sith Lords, but really had no story or direction before being cancelled. The only thing that was decided was taking the control of Darth Maul, which, you know what? That's all I need. I won't dwindle on that for too long, but just the thought of that puts this cancelled Star Wars game this high on the list. Now, before we get to number 1, let's look at some honorable mentions. At this point, you should have known number 1 was gonna be Star Wars 1313. My god, did this game look fucking amazing. You were gonna take control of a young Boba Fett in a third-person shooter and explore the underworld of Coruscant. Everyone involved talked about the game with such passion, which built confidence in many people. With everything going right with the project, what can possibly go wrong? Well, the short answer is Disney. Now, I don't usually like to trash on Disney like a lot of people do, because they put out a lot of movies and shows that I enjoy, but why did you have to do this? The game seemed to be coming along very nicely, and it also seemed like a very interesting take on Boba Fett. A game like Bounty Hunter, but even more big what could have been, as Star Wars 1313 is up there with Silent Hills and Scalebound as one of the most unfortunate video game cancellations of all time. Well, that was the top 10 canceled Star Wars games. Yeah, that was a pretty sad list to make. I really wish I got to play these games. Anyways, let me know what you think. Be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another oddly specific top 10 list. Alright, see you guys.